Hi folks, and HP have sent us this to look at today. It's the Z4 workstation, and we're going to be looking at this from an artist and creator's point of view. The Z4 workstation is absolutely amazing. It's got some cool features, and if you're interested in buying a workstation straight off of the shelf to use, then something like this is specially made for you, especially as a professional. This version that I've got sat in front of me here, the i9 780XE, which is the extreme version, has 64 gigabytes of RAM. And it also has the HP Z turbo drive, 512 gigs, and it's an SSD. This one that I've got comes with the NVIDIA Quadro P5000 16GB graphics card. Now, in order to test this, I'm going to need to hook this up to a graphics tablet, which means I'm going to need to set up an Ergotron arm as well, obviously. Today I'm going to be hooking this up to the Wacom Cintiq 27 QHD Touch. Let's get started. First of all, let's get the Ergotron arm set up. This is an Ergotron MXV. A very slim and powerful arm capable of holding up our Wacom Cintiq QHD Touch. This is the Cintiq that I've used for a few years now. So we're setting up the HP Z4 as professional creative workstation. So it's got the Cintiq, it's got the Ergotron arm, and it's got the Z4, and it's going to be fully operational, and it's just going to be as you'd find it in a professional studio, be it in an animation studio, in a games company, as you'd find it in a film studio, anywhere, a high-tech freelance studio like my own. Yeah, let's unbox this now and see how easy it is to set up. First of all, we pull out of the box a need help card. This is nice, Ergotron always put one of these in. Secondly, we pull out the instruction manual. Now, the Ergotron instruction manuals are always well illustrated and very detailed. They run you through exactly what is in the box, all of the contents. And like I say, they're very well illustrated. You don't even have to read them, even though they're in multiple languages. You can just follow along with the pictures, but I will take you through this step by step. Don't worry. Now, here's the first few components. A few caps there. I don't know what they're for yet, but like I say, we'll find out step by step. Now, here's the baggie of tools and components you'll need, like screws, little cable ties, and things like that. Now, you shouldn't need any tools. Maybe you might need a screwdriver, but that's it. Wow, this thing is in one piece. I have never seen an Ergotron come in one piece. Now, if you've seen any of my other Ergotron videos, and I have a playlist with all my Ergotron arm videos in, Ergotron arms normally come in multiple pieces, but this is the first Ergotron arm I've ever seen in one piece. So that should make this a lot simpler. Yes, go and check out my other Ergotron videos. You can make adjustments here depending on the thickness of your desk. Please check out the precise measurements on the Ergotron website to make sure that your desk isn't too thick, because that is trouble that I personally have come across because I have a very thick desk. You'll see here that there are adjustment points for how flexible you can make the arm. If you're using a monitor, you want it quite flexible, but if you're using a drawing tablet like we are, you want it to be a little more rigid. Here we have the VESA mounting head with 100 by 175 as well. You're most likely going to be using the 100 by 100 though. We also have a built-in section for hiding those messy cables, which you find on most Ergotron arms. Looking at the instruction manual, here's step 1. So we're going to remove this screw here, which allows us the full range of motion in your Ergotron arm. This is simple enough. The manual tells us which Allen key to use and exactly where the bolt is. Like I say, the manual is fully illustrated, so yeah, just follow along really. Sometimes these bolts can be a bit fiddly, so if you've got your own tools you'd prefer to use, then go for it. But hey, at least all the tools are included. This next step is purely optional. If you have a really thick desk or a really thin desk, just make some slight adjustments here and yeah, really It doesn't matter if you do this step, just first of all put the arm on your desk and see if you need to do it. I didn't need to make any adjustments and the arm fit perfectly, but I was at the limit of what thickness the arm could fit. So the arm is now on and it looks absolutely fantastic. I can move the arm around freely. It's a little stiff, but I can make adjustments. However, I'll do that once I've got my drawing tablet in place, and that's the next step here. So I'll follow along. First thing to do is to grab my tablet, line that up, grab the arm and line the VESA mount up, grabbing the screws out of the packet there. Obviously the manual tells me exactly the pieces I need, holding the arm in place and making sure that it can't jump up and hit me in the face. Yep, you've got to be cautious. I'm just screwing the arm in. So it's 100 by 100. Now, the Cintiq that I'm using here is actually 200 by 100. So I'm having to screw it in slightly lopsided. Yeah, never mind. Hey, it's only for this test. That's going to come back and bite me, isn't it? But never mind. I'm sure it'll be fine. I've actually done this before with a Wacom Cintiq 27 QHD. This has actually been readdressed with the Wacom Cintiq Pro 32. It has a very special VESA mount actually made by Wacom themselves. So yeah, but cool. Okay, so we're gonna screw this in quickly and then move ahead. The next two steps, if you actually remember the unboxing, are to tidy up the cables and just add these two caps. What I'm going to do is jump straight to adjusting the Ergotron arm itself by using the Allen wrenches and just making sure that it can handle the weight of the Wacom Cintiq properly, so it's not falling to the table. That way it can hold the weight, as you can see, and it's handling it properly and keeping it level. So now my setup over here with the Wacom Cintiq 27 QHD Touch and the Ergotron MXV arm is complete. That only took a little longer than I expected. But actually, no, it didn't. What am I saying? The Ergotron arm was fully complete out of the box, which is the first time I've ever seen that. And as you know, I've set up my fair share of Ergotron arms, probably more than anybody ever, other than people who work at Ergotron. Kind of bizarre, I know. But yeah, so that straight out of the box obviously was great. And this is a sturdy arm capable of holding up the 27 QHD, which is a 27-inch tablet. And now that I've set up the 32-inch Cintiq Pro and other things like the Dell Canvas, which is a 27-inch drawing tablet as well, I've got to say that the 27 QHD does feel like quite a heavy tablet. So not a lot of people know about the Ergotron MXV, and even though it's a surprisingly slim Ergotron arm, yeah, it can hold quite a lot. So this arm is absolutely brilliant. First time you set up an arm, it's very stiff, but yeah, it does loosen up over time, so not worried about that. Next, we actually get to set up the HP Z4. So yeah, this is part of the video that we've obviously been waiting for, so let's crack on with that. Let me know what you think in the comments below about what we've done so far. So this part of the setup is relatively easy. We just need to connect it with power, video and USB. That's setting up the tablet and the tower, and we'll go through Windows, telling it no, you can't look at any of my personal information. Back off there, Bill Gates. Yeah. Sorry, no. I just always make sure that privacy is of the utmost importance to me. And once we're in, we'll take a look at some of the specs here. And this is a really nice device. We'll go into this in more detail, obviously, in a little bit. HP have got some really nice internal software there as well to keep this machine running smoothly. This has got 64 gigs of RAM, really nice graphics card in there, all the things you'd expect from a really high performance machine. And here are the specs for the HP Z4 compared to the HP Z6 workstation. As you can see, there are a few differences there, but not too much between the two. Obviously, it depends what you decide to put on the inside of your workstation. So let's get into the draw test of the Wacom Cintiq 27 QHD and the Ergotron MXV and the HP Z4, this workstation that I've put together myself here, which is absolutely brilliant for any creative studio or freelancer, that whatever you might be. So here we go, and obviously you can see I've already put this sketch together right in front of you here. I've sped this up a bit, so yeah, we're amazingly on quite a bit already. And this is a rough sketch. I will say it's not going to my liking so far, but this is what happens. You know, every time you draw, you're not guaranteed a winner. And I could scrap this and start again, but I've just set this up and I've decided to crack on. You know, it's like I say, you're not guaranteed a winner straight out of the box. So what do? Do I scrap the sketch and start again? No, I figure out how to fix it. And sometimes that's a bad thing. Sometimes you should just scrap an illustration and start it again. But sometimes you're better off fixing it because you do learn from your mistakes. So that's exactly what I do. I realise where to change things, where to fix things, what I should focus on. And that's a brilliant way to learn. And so what I'm going to focus on here is the bits that I like. So I do like the face, so I decide to go straight to colour here and get those skin tones in, get those textures going in straight away. I like her jawline. It's a bit thicker, and so I start to get the textures and colours in on her face, concentrate on the eyes and the lips. So I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. The hair's a bit different and the shapes going on there, so I like that. I like the overall feel. So yes, okay, at the minute it's mainly the composition where her hands are and things like that. So I'm going to have to change all of that. I can use liquify as well to change things that I don't like, and I can use this brush in liquify, which is absolutely great. I can also cut things out with the selection tool and move things around if I want to. The good thing is the setup that I've got with the Wacom here on the Ergotron arm is really helping. The Ergotron arm can easily hold this Wacom, and it's keeping it lovely and stable, as you can see right here. And the HP Z4 is performing really well, and this is all coming together. I'm loving how the face looks. The face looks absolutely great, and the hair is really nice and stylized. Even though I'm not loving how the kind of shoulders look and everything, I'm starting to add texture to them just to see if that helps a little bit, and adding in a background as well. Now, I would never say to cover up a bad illustration with lighting, but lighting is a good way of rescuing an illustration, basically. So in this case, I'm just going over my illustration and adding to the illustration with lighting. Obviously, you just saw me move a patch of her face over with the selection tool, copy and pasting that, and that, you know, just changing the composition of her face slightly there. I'm also, you can see me building up layers and layers and layers, adding to her hair and so on and so forth. I'm just trying to make sure that I can change this. Now I'm altering the composition, trying to get the best out of this, moving those hands around. It's still a sketch. I feel that it is still a sketch, but it is coming together. It is looking better. and I can move this around enough to the point where I'm happy with. Now, at this point, if this was real time, I've probably spent just over half an hour on it, which is absolutely fine. Think of it like concept art. It doesn't have to be perfect. If this was a commission piece, I could spend up to 2 weeks on it. Or in a commission piece, I'd probably create a couple of roughs anyway. And if I spent another couple of hours on top of this, I could easily make this into a decent piece. But the face on it, I'm liking. The face on it, I'm now liking. It still has the feel that it originally had. So I just want to change the hair color, add an overall feel to it. I'm using this lighting effect now to try and draw you into her face, to make her face the main centerpiece of it. But going back to the tablet for a minute, the tablet really works. It's an old tablet, the Wacom Cintiq 27 QHD, but it still works. It's still a great tablet, even though it's only got 4,000 levels of pressure. So the Ergotron arm, the Ergotron MXV, is holding it really secure. Like I said, I could move that around if I wanted. Perfect. And the HP Z4 hasn't even flared up a fan yet. So really happy. I've spent a short amount of time, about 3/4 of an hour on this. Brilliant. So there you go, that's the draw test finished. I am fully happy with that and how that's worked out. Obviously that is a fair few hours of me sat here at the drawing tablet working with this, and one thing I can happily state is that the Z4 gave me not a moment's worth of problems. There were no hiccups. Remember, this is the first time as well that I've been able to set this up and work on it. I just installed the applications that I wanted to and set out to work. I've not spent any time finessing this system. It's just installed Adobe Creative Suite and crack on. That's a great thing about buying a system off the rack like this, the HP Z4. On a lot of systems, if you were to home build a PC, unless you really know what you're doing, you could run into issues. But here is a PC spec built for the creative professional world. Obviously it costs a little more, but is it worth it? Totally. Obviously, doing a little bit of Photoshop work, even if it's a large format piece like this, it's not really going to push it into the nth degree, but I know that sometimes, especially if you're used to working on, say, a laptop, you can feel that bit of slowdown. Didn't feel a bit of problem here. Even when using the larger soft edge brushes, not an issue at all. Didn't even hear the fan flare up once either while I was using the Z4. Really happy. And obviously I've been running other tests as well with this Z4, so I can feel very confident saying that, yeah, amazing straight out of the box. And as well, this system is upgradable, which I'm going to be testing out with some WD red drives. They're absolutely cool, great in your Drobo as well if you want to use them for backups and NAS drives. But yeah, you can also put them in something like this, making it even more capable. And that's the great thing about off-the-shelf desktop computers like this. Yeah, they're off the shelf, but there's nothing to stop you carrying on upgrading over time. So, what do I think in general? I think it's awesome. I think if you've got the money to spend on something like this, it's just power. Could you build something yourself for cheaper? Yes, you could. But is it going to be this? No, it's not. It's not going to be as finessed as this. It's not going to have HP engineers tinkering with this. And that's what they have done. They've been playing with the BIOS, they've been playing with the firmware, they've been playing with the drivers that intermingle with all these individual pieces of hardware that go into this. It's not just as if HP buy each component and slap it in a case and sell you it. And that's what I think most people don't think about when they look at something like this. And it's been fine-tuned particularly for creatives like us, people who work with applications like Premiere, 3D software, VR software, things like Photoshop and Illustrator as well. So, if you work in the creative sector, the HP Z4, ding, it's for you, obviously. Now, you can also get the more powerful versions like the Z8, which are completely overkill unless you really do a lot of 3D work or video editing like I do. Yes. Things like the Z4 and the Z8 are actually used in things like the film industry and the games industry quite heavily. So have a think about that and see what you think. Check out the specs on HP's website. I thought it would be a brilliant idea to go ahead and show you how well the Ergotron MXV holds up with a larger tablet like the Wacom 27 QHD on top of it. And like I said, this is a heavier tablet, so you can see how well this arm holds up with me actually working on top. There's very little wobble factor, and yes, I can move the tablet around freely, standing up, doing some work. Now this tablet is quite big, and this arm is actually meant for more standing rather than sitting, even though I can have the tablet resting on the desk here and I could easily bring a seat in and sit down at my desk. But this arm, where it comes in really well, is if you want to stand at your desk and draw. So where it's good for both, I feel it's really good for standing, especially if you really love ergonomics like I do. Then sitting and standing, that mix, that's really good for you. So I've got other videos on other arms if you're interested in those, but for me, this is where this arm really comes into its own. And you can see how freely this arm moves around. Absolutely brilliant. In fact, this entire setup really comes together. So inside of the Z4, you can see how well laid out this is, and I simply want to take a minute here and show you how easy it is to just open it up and put in a new hard drive. So really easy. Open it up for 1 minute, and then we're going to open one of the bays here. Nice and simple, just slide that on out. No screws, nothing. It's just using your fingers. Then we're going to take out a WD NAS drive. They're the WD Reds. This is 6 terabytes. Nice and simple. These are some of the drives that I use here in my Drobos. If you're wondering what Drobo is, it's a NAS storage system. I've got videos all about those. Then we're just slotting in the WD Red. Ready to go. So the HP Z4, what are you getting for your money? Well, you're getting a pre-built desktop, and you're always going to pay a little bit more for that. But the reason being, well, like I've said before, HP put a lot of love and care into this. They're building their own firmware drivers and pre-built software that goes into this, obviously, and they've really done a good job with this. While doing the draw test that you've already seen here, well, the fans didn't even rage up on me while I'm working on a large-scale piece of artwork here. I didn't get any lag, any slowdown, anything in Photoshop, which is absolutely great. I also did a test in Corel Painter. I've done some video editing tests. I've done a few other things. Not one spot of bother. Barely any fan noise throughout any of those tests, which was absolutely great. Now, I'm more of an experienced man than a specs person. The machine that I've used isn't even the top of the range one, so I was very impressed. I will say, when you're getting a machine like this, obviously it's a bit more expensive than building your own. This machine is just more high performance, it's more tweaked. Think of it more like a Formula 1 car rather than a Formula 1 car that you built. That's the best way to put it. Right, There's also one more thing that I want to talk about, which is something like this that you may not have considered, funnily enough, in comparison to something like this, which is, funnily enough, something I do get a lot of questions about, which is the HP ZBook X360. Obviously, in the past, I've reviewed the Surface Book, I've reviewed the Dell 5530 and other devices like that. So I get a lot of questions in the comments saying, dude, when are you gonna review the X360? And yeah, for a long time I've wanted to review this, and it's very beautiful, and those cool, extra cool, you know, really sharp corners there, and it is really a thing of beauty. Would you consider this versus this? Both of them look really, really nice. Both of them are super powerful in their own ways. Would you have both of these? Right now I have them. I might just lock the door and keep them. Both of them have to go back. I don't own either of these, you know. But yes, this versus this, the HP ZBook X360 versus the HP Z4. Both of them are great devices. I think if you are freelance on the go, this is something cool. Now you can do 3D work on this, you could do video editing on this, you could do illustration work on this. Obviously this is touchscreen, this works with a stylus, awesome. However, if you were doing more powerful work, if you are doing a lot of video editing, if you are doing kind of film related video editing, if you are doing serious style editing, you know, studio level work, then the Z4 is more likely to be for you. You know, if you are freelance, you work for yourself, if you are like me and you have your own studio, then something like the Z4 is going to be more capable. Also, this has a shelf life. This is not upgradable, whereas the Z4 is. So from that point of view, you know, this will last you at best about 4 years before you're going to start getting bored of the performance, before you're going to start looking at other devices and wanting to cheat on it. You know, and I've had it a fair few times where I've seriously, you know, had a great machine that's still really good, but I'm looking at other devices and thinking, yeah, that's got some nice corners. And while I really like the design of this, 4 years time, I got that roaming eye. So, something like this, it's going to have that few more years behind it, especially once you put in that extra graphics card, that bit more RAM, or, you know, that extra hard drive. So, cost wise, yeah, this could be a bit more powerful in the first place, and then you can upgrade it as well. Depends on what you want to do, especially if you're a more professional. It's up to you. Right, I'll leave it there for the day. You let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell. Obviously, you'll want to watch the review for this, which means hitting subscribe and the notification bell. Obviously, you know, that's clearly the thing to do, isn't it? If you want to see me doing this full speed painting, then let me know in the comments below. I shall see you soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. If you want to see me reviewing more HP stuff, then I would absolutely love to. Tweet me about that. Absolutely tweet me about that, and, you know, tag in HP as well. If we bother them enough, hopefully, you know, they'll send me out more stuff for review. See how that works. They do some really nice VR stuff, and I definitely want to review some more VR stuff, because I believe that kind of VR is going to be the future for us as digital creatives. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below as well. Right, I shall see you soon. You go away, do some work. I'm going to go away and do some work. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.